gentlemen, it's Misha.
America's sweetheart, Prince of Ohio.
Rich, what happened to you? By the way, Misha showed up. Where were you?
I was only walking on stage to introduce him. You go, Misha Collins. Like, okay, I'll wait.
Because they were like this, and then you're
I didn't see. I'm not out here to see the thumbs up. I was just watching him walk.
getting this. I was like, okay.
I walked in the door backstage and I was still like buttoning my pants up, still like
Right.
And they're like, Misha Collins! And then run, find the microphone, get up on stage.
It's like a well-oiled machine.
And I saw Richard Speight back there like, I don't know, he was like completely panicked.
I was
Totally
panicked.
panicked.
I think the real question is, where were you that you were buttoning your pants? What happened before this?
I don't have any follow-up
I was just finishing the VIP meet and greet.
Oh.
Putting the P in VIP. Personality. Have a good one.
Yeah, try to relax, Richard. Okay, bye. Hi, everyone. Holy shit, what's happening? This is like everybody in Columbus, Ohio is here today. This is not like one of America's giant cities. This is amazing that so many people have turned out. You're making Chicago look bad. You really hate Chicago, huh? I didn't realize that the rivalry was so strong. Has there ever been? Don't admit it. Well, it's very nice to be here. The last time I was in Ohio, I was shooting an episode of my show Road Food, and we were in Barberton, Ohio. And it was actually the only time that this happened working on the show, but word got out that I was in Barberton, Ohio, and I guess not a lot of people from TV come to Barberton or something, because people were flocking in, and our next episode was in Detroit, and yes, that's right. Real geography buffs here. So the next episode was in Detroit, and normally on this show we actually would end up flying from one destination to the next, but this was so close, it's only a few hours drive, so we decided just to have a little caravan, and so did a few vehicles of super fans who were chasing us on the highway. And the cameraman on the show was driving, and he took it like really seriously. He was like, "We've got to lose these fuckers." And so we were on the highway, and he was literally like swerving at 85 miles an hour into the breakdown lane, going around trucks, trying to lose these fans. And the fans were like, "Fuck this, we're gonna catch up to this guy." So we literally were doing evasive driving maneuvers to to lose this tail that we had going to Detroit. And finally we lost them, we think. But it's possible that they're still following. Well, nice to be here. We have this tradition at Supernatural Fan Conventions. How many of you are first time here? What are you doing here? You know the show ended like 3-4 years ago, right? You're not aware? No, not in Ohio. We're way behind in Ohio. I'm glad that you're clinging to our former glory here. It's very nice to have you. Oh. Who said that? Thank you. Wow. Looks like I have choices. I'm sorry. We have this tradition, other than fully exposing ourselves in the VIP meet and greet. We have a sort of Q&A format where you ask questions and then I sometimes respond to them. Would you like to try that? There's 2 lines here, it looks like, of people who may be prepped, primed, ready to go. Okay, you want to start? It's a lot of pressure. This sort of sets the tone for the whole hour. So if you screw this up, everyone's going to hate you. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kim from Nova Scotia.
What?
Yeah.
Nova Scotia?
Yeah. Have you ever been there?
No, but what the hell are you doing here? Did you come here for the convention?
I didn't watch Supernatural until COVID, and now this is my 3rd.
This is your 3rd convention?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here.
It's amazing.
I'm wonderful.
But it's funny because I'm not here as much for you guys now as these guys.
How's that supposed to make me feel?
This is literally like the best I've ever been in my life. I'm so happy with this family. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is lovely to hear, and you must have a truly terrible biological family.
Yeah, a little.
One of the best things about having fallen into Supernatural as an actor is seeing this community that has coalesced around the show. That seems to have its own ethos, its own subculture of like kindness and acceptance and support. People are satellite in this community. I have
During
to say.
COVID, I was in the house for 2 years. I had serious panic attacks, and I never moved out of my house for 2 years. And my dad died during that point. Supernatural became like my comfort show. And then I met so many fans online. The first time I left the house.
If you're feeling anxiety, a lot of people say it's really actually super helpful to watch graphic beheadings. It's just a deeply consoling, comforting thing.
But the first time I left the house was to get on a plane by myself to Toronto, to the convention.
Really?
Yeah, and so, yeah,
Well, it's nice to see you out and about.
thank you.
And I'm sorry if you do suffer from anxiety that I started this conversation by saying that there was tons of pressure on you and you could do it in the whole hour.
I'm medicated now.
It seems to be worth it.
So I have to ask you a question. So you're obviously very socially conscious, socially aware, and you do use your platform for a lot of, in my opinion, great things.
And for some evil.
And what?
And for some evil.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. What I'm wondering is about social media in general. It can be great for like things like you're doing, just to make people aware. I'm wondering your opinion about it for your own kids as they get older, because it can be terrible as well, and a lot of bullying and I'm just wondering what your thoughts are as they get older.
Well, my kids, their personalities are such that I'm pretty sure they'll be the bullies. So I'm less worried about that. Someday my children are going to watch clips from my panels and disown me. My kids don't, my son has a YouTube account. And he was just watching chess videos on YouTube for a while, and that was like, well, it's hard to argue. But now it's morphed into He doom scrolls a bit on YouTube, but they're not yet enmeshed in posting things on social media and looking for the reaction from people. I see people all the time. I travel all over the place, and I'm always in these like beautiful places with monuments. There's always people taking photos of themselves in front of the monuments, and they take them over and over and over and over again, and then their friends will check on the phone to see if it looks right. And they're like, no, the angle of my chin is a little off, let's try one more. And nobody's actually paying attention to the places that they're in. They're only self-conscious about the selfie that they're taking, and it is a strange, toxic new reality. And I'm going to do everything I can to prevent my children from being a part of that, in spite of the fact that I do it myself all the time. I scroll through my phone and I notice like, oh, we went to the Rockies, and I looked through my photos and I'm like, God, I only took one picture of the kids, but there's over 100 selfies of me. So more than anything, it's a cautionary tale. Like, don't be like me, kids. But I think that it has this potential to connect us. Like, for example, you probably muscled your way out of the house. I mean, it's probably a very nice house. I'm picturing you in a mansion overlooking the ocean in Nova Scotia. But you pulled yourself out of the house to go to Toronto after 2 years, and I imagine that the social network, literal social network that you formed in that time online with other Supernatural fans is what pulled you out. Am I wrong? Right. So it actually is serving a positive function in a lot of ways. And if you think about the Arab Spring that took place all across North Africa and the Middle East, where so many countries had these popular uprisings, they were all organized on Facebook, and they wouldn't have happened were it not for that social network galvanizing people. And a lot of good, positive political action can happen on social media platforms. The whole Me Too movement was actually a viral phenomenon that started on Twitter. So there are a lot of good things that can happen, a lot of campaigning that can be done for causes that really matter. And at the same time, the Russians are using their bots to seed misinformation that then's getting picked up by members of the far right and amplifying those messages, and people are the lines between truth and fiction are getting blurred to an extent that people have been gaslighted by social media and really have lost the tether to reality. So it's got these positive qualities and this dark side, and I think we just all have to keep being vigilant. Apropos, I'm going to say one more thing about this. Apropos of my kids, one of the things that I'm trying to teach them is critical thinking skills, because I know that the only valuable thing that I really gleaned from college was learning how to develop critical thinking skills. I didn't walk away with this trove of information. I cannot calculate the volume of a sphere, but I do know how to discern real sources from false sources, and I know the importance of where you're getting your information from, and imbuing my kids with that little skill set will help them navigate that world. And I'm also gonna not let them take selfies. Thanks. Hi.
I'm Misha. I'm married in Ohio, and oddly enough, my husband got picked for the first question and me the second, and he doesn't want to come up, so he's in the second row over there and says hi.
Where is he?
He's John in his field.
All right. Why didn't you want to come up, John? What's that? You're tired. Well, that's okay. I can come to you. Hi there. What would you like to talk about?
Oh, retirement.
Retirement? Oh, that sounds great. Here, I'm gonna come sit next to you.
for whatever wins.
What are you doing with your retirement?
I bought a lake house, a pontoon boat, fishing.
That sounds lovely. When can we go up there? Monday? Great, I'm still here.
Okay. Come on.
How far is the drive?
Hour and a half.
Oh, that's perfect.
What?
Okay, great.
That's it.
Okay.
My retirement money, so.
Oh, I see. So, your wife is spending your retirement money?
Absolutely.
I see. So maybe it wasn't such a great idea for me to give you the microphone, because now I'm driving a wedge between you and your wife. I'm sorry, I'm gonna leave you now, because your wife's waiting over there. And you said some pretty terrible things about her.
Was it his idea not to come up, or did you say, please don't come up? Is that what happened?
Wow. So are you coming to the lake house Monday?
Yes, yes.
Great.
Sounds wonderful. And you two have a king size bed, right?
All right.
We really do. We do have to post those photos of the three of us just tucked into your bed.
He is retired and I still work, so I do spend money
We're spending his retirement money, and we're spending your actual income. Yeah, okay.
All right, so now I gotta get back to my question. One, I go on your adventure walk at 2, so super excited. I didn't tell him how much I paid for that in the auction.
Okay, and I won't either, but suffice to say, it's a lot of your retirement.
So my question is, if there was a supernatural season 16, and Castiel came back from the empty, what would be the first person you'd want to see, and what would you do?
I have a feeling Cass would probably want to go find Dean first. And he'd be like, hey man, I said I love you and you kind of didn't respond. So it's been just a little bit nagging at me. It might be awkward, it might be a little awkward, sort of like my conversation with your husband just was. What do you think Cass would do when he comes back?
Definitely, I think you need to get with Dean and tell him he needs to show more emotion for you, and then I think you need to take him out and go out on the town together.
Go on what?
Go out on the town, party, bar,
Bar hop. That sounds great. I find, honestly, it actually really helps in the relationships that I have in my real life, honestly, when I say, you need to show more emotion toward me. It really works. I'm gonna try, I'll make sure Cass does that. Thanks. Hi.
Hello, my name is Sarah. Wasn't
Sarah.
expecting this. My question is, you're very vocal about activism. You use your voice a lot. What is the favorite result from you using your voice, like your emotion of activism? What is your favorite result of that?
I've had conversations, actually, I had a conversation with a woman in Ohio, where she said, I was raised in a very cloistered, very conservative community and family, and really just never considered ideas outside of those that I was raised around. And following you on social media and then having a couple of conversations with you has just it's provided a little track for me through which the light of new ideas has started to soak in and reach me. And I like those kinds of moments of connection. I was working with this guy, Daryl Davis, for a while, trying to get his story developed into a feature film. And Daryl Davis is this black musician who went into a roadhouse bar and
played guitar, or played piano, and after the show, this white guy came up to him and was like, I've never heard a black guy play rock and roll like that. And he's like, well, Daryl was like, well, you know, like, the roots of rock and roll are in black music. And the white guy's like, nah, what are you talking about? They ended up talking. Daryl ended up inviting this guy to come back for his next show, the next time he was in town. The guy came back. And they had another conversation. Got to know each other a little bit, and the guy was like, this is kind of weird for me, you know, I've never sat down and talked to a black guy before. And Daryl's like, what? He's like, yeah, you know, I'm actually a member of the KKK. And instead of Daryl turning his back on this guy and leaving the room, he bore into it. And he's like, well, I want you to come back to my next show. And the guy did, and they became friends. And eventually, this guy gave Daryl his robe. He was like, I can't, now that I know you, I can't hate you. And I'm gonna give you my robe as a token, because I'm leaving the clan. I was in Detroit, working on that show, road food, like that next stop after leaving Barberton, Ohio. We went to Detroit. One of the guys I interviewed was the former head. He had just 2 years before renounced this movement, but he was the head of the American Nazi Party. And he had been so for more than 20 years. He ran the American Nazi Party for more than 20 years. And I talked to him, and he was like, you know, I had this nagging feeling that what I was doing wasn't right, but I was so enmeshed in this community. It was my livelihood, it was my social network. My girlfriend was a member of it. I had family members that were members of the American Nazi Party. I just couldn't leave. And finally, this guy reached out to me, and he just really got through to me somehow. And it was Daryl Davis, this guy that I've been, by coincidence, this guy that I've been working on developing a story. And I was like, no way, Daryl's a friend of mine. But those kind of moments have been really meaningful to me, seeing those connections and being involved in those conversations have been really meaningful to me. And getting to have conversations with people from different walks of life, like former members of the American Nazi Party, but also politicians, just getting to hear different perspectives, getting to share my perspective. It has been weirdly rewarding. When I started acting, I did it because I had been a White House intern, and I was like, well, I don't want to work my way up the ranks in politics this way. This is terrible. Like, you know, I was there like right around when Monica Lewinsky was a White House intern, and I did not want to, you know, follow that path. So I was like, well, what's another option? How can I, you know, be influential? And I was like, oh, I know, I'll do what Ronald Reagan did. I'll become famous, and then parlay that into politics. Completely, you know, betraying the hubris and overblown ego that I'm possessed of. But along the way, I totally forgot about the political aspirations, and I just became focused on becoming an actor. And then it came back around for me, and it's actually been a really rewarding full circle to now be getting involved in politics more and more, and trying to use my platform for some benefit in the world. Because honestly, I don't know, I have friends who are actors who are just trying to get more wealth, just trying to get more famous. But I don't know what the point of that is if you're not actually trying to leverage it to have some sort of positive impact. So I guess that was a long and circuitous non-answer to your question. I apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Misha. I'm Kirsten from West Virginia.
Hi.
Hi. My question is, if you could pick one song to be the soundtrack of your life and one song to be the soundtrack of Castiel's life, what would those songs be?
Well, Jesus. That's a lot of pressure. I think Castiel's soundtrack, you know, Castiel sang the the theme song to The Greatest American Hero when he was babysitting. And I thought that was very touching. You know, originally in the script for that, does anybody remember that episode? Amazing. Originally in the script, Castiel was supposed to be cradling the baby and singing Highway to Hell. Because that was like the only song that came to his mind at that point. And it was the day we were gonna film, and the producer ran in and was like, Misha, turns out we can't afford the rights for you to sing Highway to Hell to the baby, but Warner Brothers owns the rights to the theme song to The Greatest American Hero, so you can sing that. And I literally had about 20 minutes to learn the song to sing The Greatest American Hero theme song. So I think that one's appropriate for Cass, because clearly it's one that, I don't know, either that or why are there so many songs about rainbows that Kermit the Frog sings? I could be nice for Cass too. As for me, I don't know. I don't know what the theme song to my life would be. You have any ideas for me? Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard question. What's the theme song to your life?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah.
Probably a song that's called Feels Like I'm Dying by Andy.
Oh,
Just all the time.
that sounds cheerful. I can imagine like wanting to go through life with just something like ominous, like near-death mantra going on in your head. That sounds uplifting. Yeah. Thank you. I'm gonna fail to answer your question. Hi.
Hi, my name's Brooklyn.
I'm Brooklyn.
I always think about that episode where Cass plays the board game Sorry Raccoon. And I was wondering if you were a board game, what board game would you be?
What'd you say? Yes, there's a theme here. I think I might be, probably something fairly nerdy. Mousetrap. Like, what?
Mousetrap.
What's Mousetrap?
You never seen Mousetrap? You basically build a trap.
I feel like I said something horribly offensive. What the fuck? Okay,
Basically, build a contraption and then you trap mice at the end of the game.
you trap mice at the end of the game?
Yeah.
Easy to understand.
Yes.
Okay, it's a simple game?
Yes.
You're acting like this is good for a moron. You love it. Okay, maybe Mousetrap. Apparently, like a lot of these people work for the company that produces it.
I wish.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was gonna say Candyland.
You were gonna say what?
I was gonna say Candyland because of how sweet you are.
Don't give her a hug.
That's very. That was a very long-winded way to get to a really cheesy pickup line. I appreciate you playing the long game on that one. Well done. Well done. Hi there.
What's up, Misha?
What's up with you?
You never texted me back the other night.
Hey man, I'm sorry. It's just I get a little weird when I see dick pics. By the way, I gotta say, nice piece.
Is there anything in the Castiel storyline that you would have changed differently other than the ending?
Yes. I would have had Cass be human for longer. I thought we abandoned that storyline too soon because there was so much more to explore. Like, for example, Cass never participated in sexting. Like us. So I think, but I think that there was so much more to mine there, and it could have been, we did a handful of episodes, but I think we could have explored what that transition was like for Castiel, and there was just a lot to mine there that we missed out on. That's what. And also, I felt cheated not being in the musical episode. Castiel in that episode. I'm aware. I didn't watch it as a protest, but I saw stills. All right, thank you, sir. Hi.
My name's Andon, just kind of from Columbus. I was at the Nashville one, so I had a question prepared for that one, and then, we almost got hit by a tornado, so I kind of forgot it, random stuff.
Yeah, a lot happened there. Are you at all worried that this question's going to be stale now? Yeah, all right. Yeah, this one keeps.
So, off the assumption that Castiel's human arc kind of got extended a little bit, where would you have liked to see that go? Like, is there any sort of like experience or kind of something that Cass does when he's human?
You mean other than sexting?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that Cass could have had, there was a panoply of different things that we could have experienced there. Castiel was eating toothpaste because he didn't know how to brush his teeth. But he could have also just, he didn't experience like human emotions like humans did as an angel, but he was getting to experience the whole spectrum of human emotion for the first time, and human physical pains, and, biological urges, and, learning to wipe, things like that. We never had the wiping episode. How do you teach a grown man to wipe? Somebody had to show him what was going on, right? Why didn't we see that? It would have been epic. Yes, it also would have gotten us canceled. We filmed it, they just didn't air it. With these long pauses, I'm getting the sense that you're not going to say anything else, so.
I didn't know, that'd make a good blooper reel though, and if you take a break from the Daryl thing, I think you should maybe see if you can get a blooper reel of teaching Cass how to wipe.
A booper reel? Okay, I'm glad we had this conversation. It's elevated the whole afternoon. Thank you. Hi.
Hey, Misha. My name's Amber. I'm from Dayton.
Hi.
So, over the 12 seasons you're on the show, if you had to pick one of your co-stars to marry, who would you pick?
I would pick Jensen. The temptation, of course, with Jared is like, oh, he's got this, chiseled body and a six-pack, and Jensen obviously has let himself go. But isn't that what a marriage is? It's not about that sort of animal magnetism. It's more about, let's be honest. I know that Jensen tidies up, and that'll be nice. He does the dishes. In the green room, when people leave their food out on the table, Jensen will come around and take the plates away and put them in the trash. And Jared will throw things at the wall. I don't want to be in that kind of a relationship. I might have an affair with Jared. When Jensen's up here tomorrow, don't mention the thing about letting yourself go. Don't tell him! I thought you were the one that said you loved me! Fuck! Hi.
I don't really know much about the show. I'm here with my little sister celebrating her birthday, but I have a question from her.
Okay.
She wants to know if Castiel was able to have his own spin-off and you were able to create that, what direction do you think you'd take it?
I actually thought about this a little bit because when Supernatural was wrapping up the president of the CW network was like, Misha, spin-off? And I was like, nah. But it did get me thinking, and I thought that Castiel could be like this. He could come back from the empty down to earth and sort of be deprived of almost all of his powers, but become like, I imagine that he was like in some sort of, he was maybe in the priesthood or something like that, and was teaching like a young stable of new hunters how to marshal their powers to fight the forces of evil in the world. And I don't know why I put a group of children with a priest in that. It wasn't perfectly fleshed out, I think. Sorry.
Really happy with that answer.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. I'm Cindy. This is my first supernatural convention.
Welcome. How is losing your virginity going?
Well, it's been fabulous. A lot of walking.
Yes, a lot of walking. It's a big place, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My question is, if you could film a second season of Road Food, what cities would you visit and why?
We actually have a whole list and a whole second season that was all kind of planned out, but a bunch of weird things happened, corporate machinations that ended up torpedoing a second season. We were in process on that, but there were lots of places I wanted to go. I was really interested in going to visit another indigenous community and delving more into that food, and then I actually wanted to go to like the Pacific Northwest and Alaska. It was a weird thing. So the company that produced Road Food got bought by another company that then got bought by the company that owns Sports Illustrated. And then Sports Illustrated published some articles that were written by AI. And they had bylines for fake reporters that were also created by AI. Like, this happened right after they bought the company that owned Road Food, and their stock price dropped by almost 90%. It completely ruined the company with this one little AI fiasco. And then as a consequence, they're like, we can't afford to do anything anymore, especially not your weird little public television thing. So we were cast aside.
Well, it's a shame because I really enjoyed the show.
Oh, thank you. I think that the show could be better, though, if it was hosted by an AI host. And it would save a bundle. So, looking into that. Thanks. Hi.
Hi, my name is Valerie.
Hi.
I want to apologize for the photo I took with God's Dead in September, but...
Oh, that was you. You know, it still hurts.
My question is, if you could pick a favorite scene...
I grabbed someone's boob in the photo session. And now that we're confessing, in my hand, like I was trying to put this thing on my bracelet on my wrist, and then my hand sort of slipped through, and then it dove into her shirt. And then I froze. Anyway, whomever that was, I'm sorry, and thank you. Hi.
If you could pick your favorite scene or funniest scene you've done, what would it be?
What was my favorite scene?
Yeah, your favorite or funniest scene that you had to do.
Well, funniest and favorite are the opposite, because actually I have laughed so hard so many times on set when I've actually been the victim of torture. We had this one episode. There's one episode where we were shooting on location, and Jerry just they would not. They were just on a roll, and they wouldn't stop fucking with me. And the way it works is when the camera is on you, the director can't see what the off-camera actors are doing. They're standing right next to the camera,
And they're being absolutely ridiculous. They're, you know, like holding a broomstick and funneling my balls right below frame. The director doesn't see that. The director's like, oh, come on, Misha, pull it together in there. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And they were messing with me, and it was making me crazy. And finally I said, oh my God, if they had told me I would have to deal with this in drama school, I didn't go to drama school. I don't know why I said that, but I was so exasperated at the moment. And Jared and Jensen, their eyes just lit up. And they were like, oh, what a gift from the gods. And they ran around next to me so that now they were on camera, and they were like, ha ha, he went to drama school. And that made it onto the blooper reel. And those same series of scenes that we were filming on that location, they were throwing things at me, and they kept hitting me during my takes. They would hit me like right below where the camera sees, and I'd be like flinching, and the director would be like, come on, Misha. And then when it was their turn, the camera flipped around on them, I made this paper airplane, and I threw it, and it just went straight down. Like the nose just crinkled right into the floor, and they looked at me like, fuck you. And it was so bad that day that people on set called the people in the production office, which was about 5 miles away. They're like, hey guys, I know you got a busy day in the office right now, but you gotta get down here. It's like epic what they're doing to Misha. So people from the production office drove over to watch me be tortured by my castmates. It was so bad that the next day, Jensen came up to me like this. He said, hey Misha, Robin was our on-set props woman. She managed the props on set. Robin said, I had to say, sorry. It was like when I tell my kids they have to say sorry, they're like, sorry. And I was like, Jensen, are you apologizing? He's like, yeah. And I said, could you show a little more emotion than you did? And he did. He made eye contact, sheepishly. He said, I'm sorry. I said, thank you. Is that so hard? So that was funny in a sense, but painful at the same time. I would say probably my favorite scene, or the scene that I'm most proud of was Castiel's last scene on the show. I had this, it was a very emotional scene, of course. Like Castiel is confessing his love to Dean. It was a scene that had like all of this sort of like meaning. The scene was imbued with meaning. I'd been working with the writer of that episode, who was a producer on the show as well, for a year on that scene. He had stuck around. He was going to leave the show for the final year, but he was like, if we can get this scene as the final scene for Castiel, then I'm going to stick around for another year. And I was like, holy shit, that's like a really big devotion. And it felt meaningful to me, to have that declaration of love as Castiel's parting words. So Cass was saying goodbye to Dean. It had this bigger sort of social, representational value and meaning. It was the final day, it was the final scene at the end of a week. It was Friday night, it was the last scene that we were filming. It was my last scene that I would be filming on Supernatural, so I was not only saying, Castiel was saying goodbye to Dean, I was saying goodbye to Jensen, and I was also saying goodbye to the rest of the cast and crew that I had worked with for more than a decade. It was just very meaningful. And this new virus had cropped up, and everything was imbued with like this anxiety about this impending COVID situation. We every day of that week we're like, are we still coming into work? Is that still happening? They hadn't yet shut us down. And Rob Hader, who was our stunt coordinator on the show, noticed that I was like skulking off into the corner of the stages to just sort of stay in this emotional cocoon, which is not, by the way, something that we do on Supernatural. For the most part on Supernatural, if anyone catches you acting, you're going to be ridiculed. But I was like, this is an important enough scene that I actually want to be emotionally present for it. So I was off in the corner of the dark stages by these like long draped curtains, and Rob noticed me, and he just stood sentinel about 15 feet away from me and wouldn't let anybody come talk to me while they were setting up the lights and the cameras. And there's the third assistant director's job is to come take an actor and bring them to set. But he knew that that person wasn't really keyed into the fact that I was paying attention, and he did something you never do on a set, which is he took somebody else's job. It was actually a violation of union rules. But when the third AD came to get me, he just put his hand out like that and blocked her, and then walked up to me and from a distance said, "They're ready for you on set, sir." And then he escorted me back to set to like just create this protective cocoon. And it was so lovely and so attuned of him to notice that I actually needed that help. And then we shot the scene, and it felt like exactly how I wanted to end my run on the show. And then we had a convention the next morning. We finished filming at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And the convention that we were going to was in Vegas, and the only way we could get there in time, because we had this late shooting schedule on Friday, was that Creation had to charter a jet to get us there. Because there was no commercial flights that were going to get us there on time. And so there was a small plane waiting for us in Vancouver. We drove straight to the plane, and the plane took off, and we got maybe 15 minutes into the flight when there was this blinding flash of light and a concussive explosion sound, and the plane started going like this. And one of the engines had exploded on the jet. And then there was this like screaming sound coming from the mangled metal. You could see the metal was just like all shredded on the engine. And the pilot got on it was me, Alex Calvert, Richard Spate, Jensen, probably forgetting somebody, but I think that's everybody that was on the plane. And we had to fly back to Vancouver to do an emergency landing. And as we got back into range of the cell towers, we all took out our phones and texted, like, "Tell the kids I love them," because we didn't know if we were going to survive. There were like 7 or 8 fire engines on the tarmac when we were coming down, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So that night was so intense on an emotional level, and it was like Cass was saying goodbye and kind of dying and declaring his love, and I was telling my kids that I love them and actually thinking I might die. It was a very, very intense goodbye night. And then we went to the convention, and that next Monday was the last day of filming until October because they shut everything down for COVID. Like, everything got shut down. It was an interesting little moment. Yeah. But also, still my favorite scene, I think. Hi.
Hi, my name is from Cleveland, and just kind of a 2-in-1 question.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is, back in New Jersey, like Jensen, New Jersey, they will ask, like, the state mottos. Do you know Ohio's state motto, and do you know the Ohio chant?
The Ohio what?
Chant.
Yes, I know the Ohio chant and the state motto. Yes, I know them. Do you know them? The chant? The chant? Of course I know the chant. Oh, Ohio!
OH!
I cannot believe that I almost got that. That's amazing.
And then, you know, like the state, not like the game, like what Ohio is called or known as?
Yes,
Yeah. So you're in Columbus.
I know.
The
Columbus.
Ohio State Buckeyes. The
I know that Columbus is the Paris of the Rust Belt. That's not the state motto.
States, like, you know, you got the sunshine state, like the Showy state, like Missouri and Florida. But
Right.
Ohio's got the Buckeyes.
The Buckeye State?
The Buckeyes.
Oh. Well, that's
And then Ohio.
wholly unimpressive. But I like the chant. I'm 100% behind that. I do think it's time for Ohio to come up with a better state slogan. Ohio, it's just Ohio, the Buckeyes? That's the state motto? That's not a state motto. The Buckeye State. Are you happy with that? No. Yes, one person likes it. That's not a high enough, that's not a democratic representation here. We should write a new one. Okay? Okay, that's your homework for next year. Great, thank you. I didn't know I was going to get quizzes. Hi.
Hi, Misha. I'm Ron from Cincinnati. I
Hi.
have a shout out to have my daughter Lucia. She's in the audience. She's a real, like, uber, super